Hello, hello. This is the viola discussion lesson video for Dije. I don't really need to go over this opening rhythm because you're pretty good at it, but I just would like to remind you that in measure 4 and measure 6 and the measures like that coming later, that you should really observe the tie here. I know that right now we're kind of letting ties and slurs slide, but this is a tie that we really need because the second violins and the cellos are all playing this rhythm with you, and they are not re-articulating on the second beat. They are, in fact, observing the tie here. So we really just need to hear you come in on the and hold that long note all the way through the bar, not and two and then hold. So it's just one articulation and you hold it all the way through. And then just making sure that you keep track of where you are in the groove, because measure 8 is when the groove really changes up and you play on the downbeat. You play on beat 1. We need everybody there to really, throw the groove off, essentially, that we've had this groove of an empty beat 1 this whole time for 7 measures now. And then in the 8th measure, you guys come in on beat 1, and that initiates a change in the music because measures 9 and 10 are long notes. We haven't had any long notes yet. I mean, the first violins, the melody had some, but the accompaniment has not had any long notes yet. So by changing the groove in measure 8, you have therefore changed what comes next. But if we don't change the groove in measure 8, then it's just kind of a pretty abrupt change in measure 9 that everybody's now playing on the downbeat there. So make sure that you get that downbeat at measure 8. And then that you play G sharp in measure 10, low 1 on the G string, right? Same thing happens fast forward to measure 18. You and the first violins are the only people with 2 quarter notes in this measure. The second violins and the cellos have a half note with a fermata over it. So the viola and the first violins are the only parts that change here. So you need to make sure that even though the 2 sections on either side of you are not moving, that you guys have the confidence to move. So just a reminder that G sharp is low 1 on the G string. You got to reach that second finger up really high, so B natural is on the tape for that fermata. In 19 and 20, I recommend using your second finger for these notes. So of course E is already played with your second finger, but I would go ahead and slide that second finger back to also play the note D sharp, because I like thinking my first finger is D, so I'm going to go ahead and put something in front of it to make it sharp, and then that guy comes right back up to play E, as opposed to E sliding your first finger up to play D sharp. That's just a little awkward. So over in 26, we also get some funky notes happening. This is where we really start to get busy with the fingers and where they go and how difficult it is to keep track of high and low and what's normal anymore. So measure 26, we of course start with E, which is completely normal for us on the second finger tape. F, totally fine. F sharp, I normally ask you to play with a high 3, but for the purpose of this particular passage, I want you to play with a low 4. So your second, third, and fourth fingers are all crammed in there right next to each other. And then just reach your first finger back and over to the G string to play G sharp, okay? So 2, 3, 4 are all next to each other. E, F, F sharp, and then just reach back for G sharp on the next string. Moving forward to it's a little bit of a groove here. The violas are the only ones that have this rhythm and this groove in the section here at 27. So it's not too difficult, but I would like to bring your attention to measures 28 and 29, where you have B and E. Those 2 are right across from each other. So in every other instance, we could play and keep our fingers down. Like in 27, we had C and E. So we can play 3, 2, 3, 1. But now we've kind of got to jump over, roll our fingers, B, E, B, E. So just be prepared that basically one note in this pattern changes every time. The E, the low note, the second finger on the C string is a constant here, but the higher note is the one that's changing all the time. So we need to make sure that that does change in the right spots, or else the harmonies could get funky. So in measure 32, this is when things get a little bit tricky. Of course, we've got our E planted over here on the C string. We have to use low 1 for G sharp. So low 1, E, and then low 1, because remember, accidentals carry through the measure. So even though the first G is the only one that actually has the sharp in front of it, the next G is still G sharp. So we still have low 1. And I would actually recommend staying in half position here, which is when your first finger is behind the first finger tape, and using your second finger to play the high E on the D string. So in 32, you've got low 1, G sharp, E, G sharp, E. And then you play this high E by using your second finger instead of G sharp, E, G sharp, E, and trying to jump it into its correct spot in a single eighth note of rest. It's easier to do this motion in that rest than this motion. And then you're going to have to immediately come back to G sharp in measure 33. So it's my fingering recommendation there. And 34, same exact thing as we did in 26. 2, 3, squish 4 in there, and then low 1 for G sharp. In measure 35, I would like you to know that you guys are exactly with the first violins here. You are playing the same exact notes and same rhythm that they are. The second violins and celli are doing something different. So you have to listen across the orchestra and tune in to the first violins, quite literally. Use your fourth finger for the A. So the high A. So in 35, you got 1, 3, 1, 4 for that A, so that your high third finger knows exactly where to go, right? Because if you did 1, 3, 1, open A, and then you just slam your high 3 down somewhere, it could go anywhere, maybe the right spot. It'll have a way better chance of being exactly in the right spot if it goes down with the fourth finger, just as if these two were taped together. Boom, 4, high 3 is right there. Then in 37, the same easy pattern, 1, 3, 1, now normal 3, but high 2, this time F sharp. In 39, this one's a little tricky. 1, so we've got A, B natural is on the tape, C natural, and then F natural. 1, 2, 3, low 2 for F natural. So we have to do a string crossing and move our finger back. Moving forward, this is essentially the same stuff with just a little bit more in between. So make sure that you're still observing and being careful about all of your G sharps and F sharps and everything else in between. Quick reminder, measure 49, you have E flat. That's the same thing as the D sharp that we played earlier. Same exact note. So play that with a low 2 so that the D in 49 is your first finger. Super simple stuff there. And as we discovered in class on Thursday, you and the second violins are running the show at measure 51. So the pickup into 51 is where you guys start to shine, and you guys are playing the exact same notes and the exact same rhythms. So that means that not only do you have to make sure that you're really careful about your notes, but you have to make sure that even though the cello players on the side of you aren't moving, that you are going with the second violins, that you guys are just one little unit, because the first violins on the other side of them aren't going to be moving either. So you guys have to move as a unit and say, we have the fast notes now, here we go. We know what we're doing. So pick up to 51 is an E, first note of 51 is F natural. And then you have to reach over to the G string for C and bring that second finger up to play B natural. E, F natural, C, B, 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 C, D, D, E. Pluck, pluck. Remember to pluck by having your very good bow hold, and then you stick your unicorn horn out and you just reach over and you pluck with that finger for those couple of notes. Moving on, pick up to 53. We got C. I would go ahead and use your fourth finger for D. C, D, reach back for G sharp, G sharp, G sharp, G, G. A, go ahead and slide back up. G sharp, A, B, B, C. Sorry. And then pluck again. And you guys are back on the same thing that you played at 51. F natural, C, B, 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 C, D, D, E. And here we have a change. C, E, C, D sharp, right? So 3, 1, 3, low 1, low 1. And then remember, accidentals carry through the measure. So the note on beat 3 of 57 is still D sharp. Reach up for B natural. The fourth beat, 58, is open, open. And now we get some real finger gymnastics involved. A is on your tape. G sharp is low 1. Now reach all the way up on the D string to play A, and G sharp up here. 1. A, G sharp, A, G sharp, E. In 59, I don't know which line you guys are going to be playing, but top line, of course, is open D. Then the bottom line is A, changes to G sharp, very simple. If you are playing the bottom line, I recommend A, G sharp, and then staying in half position here for the A, G sharp again in measure 60. 2, low 1. Now you're all going to have to shift back up to low 2, 1. So A, G sharp, F natural, E, reach up for A, G sharp, E, C. Okay? So measure 60, red alert, lots of position, fingering, crazy things going on. Looking ahead, I think you guys are capable of checking out and making sure you know when you have a high finger or a low finger, but just in case, since we haven't had this note yet, bottom line player for the last note of measure 65, that's F sharp. So you should be playing A, and then F sharp is your high third finger on the C string, and then you pop over to low 1 on the G string to play G sharp. A, F sharp, G sharp, G sharp. Pretty good. Just a quick note about the pattern going on at 75. You should absolutely be keeping both fingers down for this. Don't jump them across the strings. It'll get sloppy, and there's no guarantee that you'll be playing the same note multiple times in a row, which is exactly what I should hear. I should only be hearing E and C natural, and then occasionally the F natural, but I should always be hearing E and C natural. And if you're just putting your fingers down willy-nilly and always lifting them up, there's no guarantee that they're always going to go down in the right spot. So the best thing to do, since you don't need any other fingers and you don't need the open strings, is to just plant your first finger on the D string and your second finger on the A string, that low 2, and just switch between them. E, C, E, C, E, F, E, E, C, E, C. You can just, I'm lifting my finger to let you know to kind of show you the string change, which I don't have strings here. But if I were to do it this way, where I have no tapes, I would keep both fingers down. Right? So just keep those guys down. In 78, For the C, A, same thing. Plant your fingers, and you should be using your fourth finger. Not trying to reach all the way over to the open A string and skip the D string in the process. Just use 3, 4. And then for the D, still try to do 3, 4, 3 instead of 3, open 3. Okay? Measure 81. Oh, right. Let's do, the code word is barbecue ribs. Sorry. I forgot I have to do that in my videos now. Real quick, in measure 81, I'm writing it in my answer keys so that your teacher knows. Measure 81, E flat is the same thing as the D sharp that we've had all along. So it is low 1, open, and then your last 3 notes are A, and then E natural. So make sure that you get that second finger up on the tape there. So I think we've pretty much gone over everything, and the play along video should really help you out. So I will see you there in a little bit.